guys, Jess with Peekaboo Wreath. We've been working on this series making our gorgeous Welcome Friends summer wreath. Possibly our last summer wreath that we're going to make for the year. This gorgeous flip-flop sign with the burnt oranges and the magentas. It's really nice is that there's like different shades of each color. So it gives us a lot of flexibility in choosing which ribbons we want to use to make our bow today. What I did set aside is this really pretty bronze and teal and like a darker turquoise, this neon blue, but it has flowers on it, which I thought matched the sign well. This open basket weave, natural, and then we have this dark teal. It has like this golden shimmer along with this dark chocolate brown with the shimmer, this burnt orange, and then this bright magenta, because I want to keep it bright, but at the same time, I want to let those rich, darker hues show through too. So I've been using, it's called a bow dabber. You can get it most places. It just kind of acts like a third hand to be able to hold the different layers of the ribbon as you're cutting it and as you're laying it down. I do have my scissors. They're fabric scissors, not like regular scissors you use to cut wire or anything else. And then the same pipe cleaner type that I used to attach the mesh in my wreath. Okay, so since this is kind of a small, not really a small sign, but it is a smaller sign. It measures about 7 inches across. That one is not big enough to go necessarily in the middle of the wreath by itself. I think it would leave too much space on the sides, and I just don't like the way that that would look. So I'm going to put it over to the side on my wreath, which means that this ribbon needs to go on the other side. So instead of it being like underneath the sign or above the sign, it will go on the left part of the wreath. And that means that it can have longer tails, which is always a good thing. It gives a lot of vocal interest to your wreath. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I usually make I start from the bottom up in this bow maker, and I normally, I decide how long the tail is going to be, just kind of based on the design I'm going for. This one's about 13 inches long. I take my bow dabber, I usually put it at 10-inch mark on my cutting mat, and then these bottom loops are normally between 5 and 6 inches long, which if you pulled the ribbon out straight, it would be double that. I use my cutting mat underneath to make sure that the bows are similar in size. Most times I follow the pattern of like 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. So that way the ribbon isn't right on top of each other and you're able to see each layer of the gorgeous ribbon that you're adding in. This open weave is gorgeous. It's wired, which is nice. So if it gets a little bit smushed in storage or in shipping, you can smooth it out and fluff it open with your hand like that. What I'm doing is each time I'm putting a layer of this ribbon down, I am turning it in the bow maker so that the pretty side is up. Done with that basket weave one. With this, since the texture is more of like, let me move this up so you can see the bottom. It's more, you know, not straight across. I just make sure that the tails are similar and then I just cut it straight across. Normally I dovetail the bottom of my tails, but when it has an open weave like that, sometimes when you dovetail it, it can just kind of look a little raggedy. And this is supposed to have a natural texture and a natural color as well, obviously. So there we go. All right, so when I add my ribbons in, if you guys have seen before, I tend to use the wider ribbons to start with. So this last one here, it looks like it was a 4-inch or maybe 3-inch, as this is a 2.5-inch wide ribbon. So we're gonna do this one next. We do like what I was just talking about, not doing with the other one with the dovetail. You just snip it like that. It's an inverted V, and it just makes your ribbon tails look a little bit more finished. I make that ribbon tail slightly shorter than the one before it, so that when my wreath has the bow on display, you can see each layer of the ribbon tails. They're not covering each other up and not allowing the other ones to be seen. You're spending money on your ribbon, your customer's spending money on the wreath from you, so you want to make sure that everyone gets the best value for their buck. So as I said before, I make this next layer, you know, slightly shorter than the one before. See, it's like maybe a finger width, which is probably maybe ½ inch or so. And then you just stretch the tail down. You want to make the tail on each side kind of match. I do anyways. I mean, there's different ways to make ribbons and bows. And just find out which style or technique works best for you. As I'm going along, I'm kind of making sure that these two ones are separated, and then we have the one in between. You don't have to completely fluff out your ribbons yet. So now so I did one on each side. So now I'm going to go with my next 2½ inch, which is this magenta plaid. When you're making your bows, there's not really like a specific number of ribbons that I use to make bows. It's just kind of like I take my sign and I just go over to my ribbon stash, kind of see what matches well. I tend to go with like solid and then a pattern, but it just kind of depends. It doesn't always have to be that way. You can make a gorgeous bow with just solids, or, you know, many different patterns, or 3 ribbons, or I've seen it before where somebody will use, like, say 3 different ribbon patterns, but they will just repeat them. So they'll start like 2, say I did like 2 of the open weave, 1 blue, 2 pink, and then they would just start it again, 1 basket weave, 1 blue, or 2 blue, or so on and so forth, because that can be pretty too. And if this ribbon was going on top of the sign, like how I said before, that in this wreath, I'm going to make the sign over on the side. If I was going to be making the sign, if it was bigger and I was going to put it in the middle of the wreath, I most likely would put this bow underneath the sign. Or you could put the bow on top of this, like over on top, like on top of the wreath. Sorry, words are hard sometimes. And you would just make shorter ribbon tails so the ribbon tails don't cover up your sign. All right, so we got that layer down. We have 2, 1, 2. So now, let's see here. I did a turquoise already. I think I'm gonna go with the orange now. And what can also determine what order you go in is how much ribbon you have left on your spool. So say that this orange one I have lots, but say that I only had a little, I might want to choose to only do 1 loop on each side instead of doing the 2, although this one I am doing 1 on each side. So here you go. We're going with 1 loop on each side with this gorgeous burnt orange color. All the ribbons that I use are wired ribbons. It just helps them to hold their shape and look more suitable on your door. So we're going to dovetail that. Okay, now we're going to go with our next color. So our next color is going to be, let's see, there is some brown in that sign in the different shadows. So we're going to go with this gorgeous bronze next. Like I said before, that sign has a lot of really pretty, like, burnt colors. It kind of reminds me of like a sunset, or like, you know, like an Indian summer. I don't know where exactly I get that from. I'll have to look it up later, but this is really pretty with the gold flecks on it and the gold border. So again, we're gonna twist it, make these brown loops slightly smaller than the orange ones underneath. You're gonna gather it, twist it so that the finished side is up, the unfinished side is down. I know my fingers are starting to get in the way of the camera, but you're going to be making it look like this with your loops like this. Okay, just like we did before. 2 on each side. If you need to, while you're making your bow, you can kind of even them out before you put your tie on. Okay, we're gonna move the bronze out of the way. And let's see, we have a deep turquoise color. What I tend to do also when I'm making my my bows is I'll kind of look ahead and I'll try to think if I'm going to like put a flower or an embellishment in the middle, then I will not put that center loop that I tend to put on my bows that hides the pipe cleaner. This one, I am not going to put any kind of flower or embellishment. So when I do my last set of loops, I will put that little bump in it. I'll show you that in a moment. I don't know the best way to even word that. Look how beautiful this is turning out with all the bright colors and the rich, deeper tones. This turquoise here. Is that no? What would you call it? Turquoise? Would you call it teal? What would you call that? Teal, I guess. Turquoise is more, maybe more of a blue. Leave me a note in the comments. Let me know what you guys think that color would be called. Then we're gonna dovetail that one. There we go. And then we're gonna do our top layer, which, so I started off with the plain colored, or I should say the natural colored of the basket weave. And then we went with some patterns, some solids. Now we're gonna go with this one right here, which is really pretty. It kind of reminds me of like maybe fish scales, which is pretty for summertime. We're gonna lay that down. We're gonna do 2 loops on each side with that bump in the middle. This bow is turning out to be just gorgeous. And the more you make bows, the quicker it'll go for you. It's just like anything else. Practice makes progress. I don't necessarily think practice makes perfect, but maybe after I practice enough, whenever that enough level is, then maybe I can say something else. But about 500 wreaths in so far. We're not at perfect yet, but it's okay. All right. I can definitely say that I'm further than I was, right? And that's kind of the goal for life, right? Each day do a little better. Learn from your mistakes. Try to do better each day. All right, so we have this one. We're gonna turn it one last time. I was starting to make my tail, then I realized that I need to put that last bump in. I just make that loop there. It's about half the size or half the length of these loops here. And then I pull that tail down. I'll make it about the same length as the one. Make sure you don't cut the other tails. That would be really, really bad. All right, we're gonna dovetail that. As you can see, my bow dabra is well loved. This is the original one that I've made my very first bow on. And originally this was a lot tighter like this, but it's kind of gotten a little stretched out. All right, so before I put my pipe cleaner down, I'm gonna kind of go through, try to make sure my loops are somewhat equal. Okay, and then we're gonna take our pipe cleaner here. We're going to take our whole bow stack, open your hand up like this. You're gonna grab it from the bottom. Make sure you don't drop it or let it slip. And then hold it as tightly as you can with your thumb. You're gonna take your pipe cleaner. I normally just maybe leave a couple of inches towards the top and then the rest of the length underneath. I'm going to hold my bow stack as tightly as I can. Give it maybe 3 or 4 tight twists. Some people use a zip tie to get it tighter. And there we go. So what I'm doing now is I'm gathering all of my ribbon tails. I'm pulling them down and forward. Again, keep in mind that your ribbons are wired. So when you get it on your wreath, that's when I normally do like the final fluff, as they call it. But just kind of go through, fix your loops a little bit. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and then you go to here. So it looks a little bit wild right now, but I guarantee it'll look beautiful when it's on our wreath. So there we go. Twist our tails in there. And there we go. there is our bow. There you go. So next time I see you, we will be adding our ribbon tails to our wreath. And then we gotta add our sign, our florals, and we will be ready to go. So I'll see you next time. Check over my Facebook page. I'm doing a giveaway over there to win a patriotic wreath, Peekaboo Wreaths. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.